You are now listening to the Bluprint Pod. Get ready for another exciting episode, so sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Welcome back to the Bluprint Podcast. It's episode 12, I believe, or episode 13, one of the two. It's your boy and my visuals here, back again with my co-host and co-founder of the Bluprint, Ray Roots. How you doing?
What's up, man? I'm good. How you doing?
I'm great. I've been good, man. I think we've hit about 4 months now of podcasting, or 3 months fully. So I'm pretty happy with that. We've been doing it every single week, and back to a consistent schedule. I haven't had that for a long time, so I'm happy with that. Today we're joined by a special guest, a friend of mine, a professional creative who describes himself as a audiovisual production professional, who also has a videography background. So I'll just let you introduce yourself a little bit. And he goes by Lazypnda, so we'll talk about that name in a bit. You want to give a bit of background about yourself, and then we'll do the icebreakers.
So just talk about myself a bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Just a guy came out of uni with nothing to do with video. Started freelancing, learning how to do professional content, and then from going to doing my own company and freelancing to now working under a bigger corporation. So took a little bit of a backward route.
Yeah, so I mean, we were speaking over the last couple of days, and you were saying that you were kind of like hesitant about jumping on because you're like you've seen the guests we've had on, and you're like, yeah, these are pretty well established people, and you're well, why do you want me on? I know it was a bit of a joke, but there's also a thought behind that, isn't there? Like, I'm not someone that's been doing it for like decades, so like, how do I compare to these guys? So
a little bit of that, but also like you came to me and you were like, what do you want the podcast to be about? And I was like, dude, you're inviting me, like you tell me what it's supposed. So it was sort of that type of thing.
Yeah, look at me. I was slightly trying to get agendas from other people, but
look at you. And, shortcuts.
Yeah, I mean, we can get it any way we like it, but that's just because I want to also like get an insight into if there's anything on the guest's mind that they want to talk about. But that's fine. So yeah, for me, it's like I said to him when I was speaking to him, is that we want to get masters of their crafts on. We want to get creatives that have been doing it for a long time and other people that aren't just creative. But the other thing is, like, I want to use this podcast and like the whole Bluprint brand as a means to like inspire people and educate people. And I feel like these people that have been doing it for like decades, they're successful. But like they started a long time ago. They've built their brand over time, and they might not be aware of like the current like ins and outs of like just getting started in the world. So I want to get people that are like just starting up and or at the intermediate level that could also offer their insights and different ways of like their creative roots to just share it with people, and then you can take from that what you will, and if that helps you, it helps you. So that's kind of how I want to help people as well.
That's noble.
I mean, it gives me a bit of inspiration as well and some ideas for what I want to do with myself. So it's also for myself. So we'll go into some icebreaker questions.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
If you was, I think when you were talking about the imposter stuff, alhamdulillah, like that type of stuff is sort of faded away over time. It hasn't. It's not really a big thing now. You just know what you know. At this point, that's what you realize. You know what you know, and you just do the most with that.
Okay, so we'll just jump into the first icebreaker question, which is, what would you do as a career, and what hobbies would you be doing if money and time was no object? So I'll start with you, Ray.
Basketball.
What would that be professionally?
Yeah, definitely. It has to be. I mean, a part of the professional aspect is obviously the pay, but if we're saying that money doesn't matter, I'm going to have to look at it from a competition standpoint. If you play basketball like regularly, I assume you love competition. And so I think in order to get the maximum competition, the best type of competition, it would have to be playing basketball professionally.
What if you weren't good enough?
That's not a question.
Yeah, I've played basketball with him before, by the way. So yeah, he's got a decent shot, but he's far from athletic. I think the opposite of athletic, in fact.
Hey, listen, I can shoot my way around that.
Yeah, but what hobbies would you be doing? He can dunk in his dreams, but we'll talk about dreams later.
No, absolutely. I cannot dunk. I cannot. I don't even think I can reach the rim. But you know what? I don't need to. I can shoot. So that's all that matters.
Yeah, I can't lie. When I first met him, we went to a basketball session in London. And boy, him and his friend that he came with, they shut the lights out.
Yeah, we lit that gym up.
I can't lie. I was thinking, these two random guys from Denmark just come to London. All these guys, like, they looked pretty serious in the basketball court. And then, yeah, I was in their team. And boy, the amount of assists I was getting from just catching the ball and passing to them. That was good.
We could hoop, but we can't dunk. So
yeah, don't worry. I'll get the rebounds and you do the rest.
Yeah.
I was supposed to play with you, Mohammed, but you made some
but-
excuse about being sick or something like that. I forgot.
Wait, you were supposed to join us that day?
No.
No.
So, I think it was last year, like early last year, I was playing basketball again. And then I had Achilles tendonitis.
Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, so like that, because I went with one friend, and then that first session I had with them, they were playing super aggressive, and so I came back and not being able to walk properly for a good full.
Oh,
weeks or something.
wait! You played with a certain guy's friends, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the goons.
A certain guy.
The
and
goons
his
of
friends.
South London.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I came back from that, not being able to walk properly for a good 4 weeks. I even had to work from home for that whole period. Which is funny because I had never ended up going back to the office. But yeah, I was meant to play with Lazypnda as well.
Yeah, I
But
play
then,
aggressive.
Yeah,
My-
no, I mean,
my
I
game
can
plan is to
handle
take you
aggressive, but I can't handle people fouling me all the time. Like, what do you want me to do when the guy's kicking me in the leg when I'm trying to pass? Like, I don't even have
Dodge
the
and
ball,
kick
man.
back.
Do you play?
Yeah, I'm terrible. I can score from time to time, but my thing is sort of assisting, is to sort of be the Patrick Beverley, like the guy who's just really aggressive and psychs people out.
So you like just scream at people, but you can't actually defend.
No, I can defend, but I also like to scream at people. If someone's about to shoot, I just scream just to throw them off from time to
I
time.
don't know these guys, huh?
You know, I'm one of those guys where if you press me while I'm shooting, I'm probably shooting better.
Then I'll be proper
Like-
quiet.
Like an actual open shot is the worst for me. There's too much pressure. I always miss it.
Oh,
I mean,
some people I
makes
do
sense,
that for. I give them space. When someone like really is pushing, I'm like, give them space, they'll flop.
Or flop? Is
Yeah.
that a tag?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the London tactics.
Damn.
Yeah, but what you say that you do that as a career, but what about like hobbies? What do you be doing in your free time? Like once you get back from home, like you showered and whatnot.
I'll honestly probably cook. Like I really like cooking.
That'll be your main hobby.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do it as a profession just because it's too stressful, and I don't like being under pressure when I cook. But
Yeah.
I was thinking the other day. So I put a little bit money into crypto, and I'm already looking like, where's my Lamborghini? When am I gonna get rich? So I'm thinking, what would I do if I got rich, right?
Yeah.
And I said I'll probably just apply to culinary school, because that's something I've always wanted to
Wow.
do. So
Interesting. Yeah, I mean he posts pretty good food pictures, but I don't know if it's him or his wife. So I don't know.
yeah, the pictures are her, and from what the pictures from her blog is her, but the stuff that you see that I post is something that I made.
Yeah, I mean it looks pretty nice. So I can't lie. I'll need to taste your food one day, and I'll be the judge of that. It looks
know,
pretty deceiving.
I was for years I just made food look good, but it was like horrible. I think like
It's not
finally now.
possible, like
Oh, that's very possible. It's easy. You just make it look nice. I think some of my best food pictures, like from years back, those like the worst flavor ever. Like it was burnt or super bitter, or like no balance in the flavors. But I think within the past year and a half, I've started to catch up, and now it's tasting a little bit as it looks. So
what's a dish that you think is easy to look good, but you failed at cooking, like taste wise?
flan.
What the hell is that? Oh, flan, like
The
those
sugary stuff,
brand
the
type
jello.
things. Yeah,
I burnt the caramel, but you can't tell that in the pictures.
some real Caucasian
it-
desserts right there.
It tastes burnt, but it looked beautiful, so I posted it.
All right, what about you, Lazypnda?
I was actually thinking about it the whole time. Yeah, I was thinking about that. What I'm doing now, really, just videos just for
That
myself.
flex.
No, it's not even that. It's just videos just for myself, because a lot of the times I have like little ideas that I want to pursue. Because I remember one time, you know, when on Facebook there was like a lot of news 1 minute segments and stuff. like Vox News and now this. And at that point, I just wanted to do one, so I just spent like 3 months building something, this news little platform, and I did that. Then I didn't feel like I want to do it anymore, so I stopped that. So having more time to sort of explore things and not do it, and not being pressured to push things out because there's a demand, and just doing things wherever your mind takes you. It's exactly what I'm doing, but just less pressure.
We'll talk about that a bit later on. But yeah, what about a hobby that's unrelated to that?
Hobby? I don't really have much hobbies, I
Really?
do cook. I don't like it though. I just do it because I need to. And other things, hobbies, I don't have many, I run. I don't want to keep doing that, to be fair.
Eventually, you got to stop, right?
I
Yeah.
hate running, man. Running just for the sake of fitness, I hate it, man. I can't
Same.
bring myself to do it.
Boring.
But if you see me in basketball, I'm the guy that runs all day long. So yeah, then I'll miss an open layup. But yeah,
He's a good rebounder. I'll give him that. He's a good rebounder. I'm assuming you've improved within the last 4 years.
No, I definitely have. Next time we play, I think we'll see an improvement.
I'm looking
I,
forward to
I
it.
miss
because-
team sports, I miss actual
Oh man,
playing
trust me.
football.
Me too.
And
Yeah, because before lockdown started, I started playing football again regularly, and that was my love of like from day one, and like football. Like I always grew up playing football, and I kind of want to talk about this as well, how these kind of sports and stuff, like growing up playing these, affect your creativity and stuff. But yeah,
Hold
man.
on. What would you do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was about to get into it. I mean, since you said basketball, I'd have to say football, but that's a boring answer. So I feel like because I really enjoy writing, but I just haven't had the time or energy to do any writing, like other than like video scripts at the moment and stuff. So I really want to get back into writing because I used to always want to be an author, like release a bunch of books. I still have like a pretty big like novel idea that I've already started working on, but I haven't finished. I'm only like 7 chapters in, but every time I read those 7 chapters back, and I'm like, nah, like, because
Wait. You're writing a book?
well, I started writing a book like probably 7 years ago or something.
We're running a business together, a creative business together. You haven't told me this?
Yeah, man. It's funny because Lazypnda and I, we kind of started networking over the podcast because I had my old podcast, which was Inspire Reads, and that was to do with reading books and hoping that we can engage people to read more as well. And then he's also running his podcast called, which is about culture and all sorts of shenanigans that him and his friends get up to. Yeah, I mean,
I didn't know I didn't know I was gonna associate that podcast with this name.
why
It's getting
not?
too close. Huh?
Okay.
There's too many
then
trails
I'll-
leading. Yeah.
I'll bleep it out if you don't want me to.
I mean, let's do that, please. Thank you.
That's fine. No worries. But yeah, he had his podcast as well. So yeah, that's kind of how we networked. But yeah, I used to read a lot, and the reason I started that podcast was because I wanted to get back into reading, and I was writing a novel at the time. My friend was also writing his own novel, so we kind of like like sending each other excerpts of our novels and stuff. So yeah, I've always wanted to finish that book, but I just never got around to it. So the funny thing is, every time I read that book, I noticed that there's different influences on me at the time. So like when I started the book, I think I was reading Game of Thrones. So what I was doing was I was like writing the chapters of the book and like the point of views of the perspectives of the different characters in the book, the same way that Game of Thrones does. And then I think I was reading another novel series or watching another set of films or something, and then I noticed that my style was continuously changing while I was reading from chapter 1 to chapter 7 of my book. So I was thinking, how am I going to fix this? Because it just looks like so like discombobulated. It doesn't look cohesive, you know. So I've always been struggling with that, but I've never got back around to it. So I think if I had like all the time in the world, like, and if money was an object, I'll probably release a bunch of books. So that's like my thing.
What would your first book be about?
I mean, the one, because yeah, football, like I said, was a big influence for me. And I also grew up in suburban London, so I wanted to like kind of relate that around that. So I'm sure you guys have watched, or have you ever watched Suits, the film, the series?
Yeah.
Harvey Specter and all that. Yeah. So
know that.
I remember when I started writing, I was watching Suits as well, which is decent in season 1 to 3, I think, but then it gets really bad after. But that's just my
Like
opinion.
Prison Break, right?
I mean, and I was never a fan of Prison Break, man. It's
What?
good.
Whoa.
It's good, but it's just a bunch of guys getting out of prison repeatedly. Like, bro, just stay out of prison, man.
You're well raised, right? You're when you see these shows, your first instinct is, why would you even get yourself into this? That's the whole point. He was framed, bro. He was
I
framed.
don't care, man.
Man,
I
I'm learning
I
so.
did vote for Labour, but yeah,
I'm learning so much about you, and I'm very disappointed today.
But yeah, I was watching Suits as well, and then yeah, I started writing a book about like how there's a lot of in football. Like, if you want to make it, you usually have to have an agent. Same way with other sports in it. So I kind of had a whole idea of kind of like Suits, but mixed with like a lot of like urban films that people like from my background make in London, where they talk about drugs and all that blah blah blah. But I kind of wanted to revolve that around football. A couple of young guys trying to make it out. Obviously, it's a bit cliche, but I also wanted to introduce like they have an agency, but they're like kind of corrupt, and like they use like the kids that they sign to their agency, like they try and profit off them, and then they like dash them to the side if they don't make it. So I had a few different ideas of how to make that interesting, but it's still in the works, innit? So yeah, it's a
I'd read that.
long way to go. So I also wanted to like make that into some kind of series or something that I think would have probably been like on a British TV channel or something. But yeah, that's kind of like my dream that I've never really told many people. So yeah, there you go.
Clearly.
Yeah, that's
It sounds
one.
cool.
But with the hobbies, for me, it'll probably be like I've never done like surfing or snowboarding or skiing or anything like that, and I really want to get into it. Like especially surfing, because I love like swimming and stuff. So yeah, I want to get into surfing, man. One day, that'll be a hobby of mine, hopefully.
I mean, I got family in Austria. We could probably just go visit them and then go skiing and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, skiing and snowboarding. I want to do it just to experience it, but I don't know if I really would enjoy it. Like all the cold snow. I don't know. I'm not a cold guy.
Can you ice skate?
Nah,
I can't.
I went ice skating once in year 8, and I was Bambi on ice 10 times worse. And this is just me holding on to the sides.
Ah, come on, man. Did you try to at least go out in the middle?
No, bro, I could barely stand up. How am I gonna get to the middle?
Nah, man. Yeah, listen. If you're a man, you would try.
Can you?
You can call
Oh,
me
of course.
less.
I'm amazing at the ice. I can do like
Yeah.
flips and all that type of stuff. Not
You say you
flips,
can do
but
flips.
I'm not gonna go that far. That's a lie. I do know how to skate. Because I was born in Sweden, so I was there for like 12 years. So all we did was either swimming or ice skating. Those are like the two things we did a lot.
I learned it from rollerblading as a kid.
Oh, wow.
I didn't
Rollerblading.
ice skate a lot. Yeah.
I can actually imagine.
Do they
you rollerblading.
translate? Because
What?
I rollerblade. I don't know if they translates that well. Because I rollerbladed and it didn't really do much for me.
I mean,
ice skating.
I didn't do any ice skate. I did very little ice skating, honestly. But it translated very well for me because I don't rollerblade anymore. But as a kid, I used to do it a lot, and I was really good at it. So I think just a balance in your ankles and how to shift your weight when you're turning and how to stop. I think that translates really well.
Okay.
Have either of you snowboarded or skied?
No. I went to Austria, but with my mom as a kid, but she was too scared to do the skiing, so we didn't ski.
I was close one time, because every year as a school trip over there, we went to this like mountainous area where there was a lot of snow. But if you were like a certain age, they took you to snowboarding and skiing. And if you're just below that age, they just put you in this little ice skating rink. And the next year I was supposed to go was the year that we came to the UK.
Damn.
And my brother was the only one who snowboarded and skied.
So you haven't done it since?
I haven't even touched it. I really do want to do it though. Snowboarding, I think I would, because there's snow in it, I think I would try a lot of the things that I see on Instagram. Because I see a lot of those X game type stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's snow, I don't think I'll break my back or anything like that. So I would try a lot of things.
Where did you grow up in Sweden?
Skåne. So like just at the bottom near Denmark.
Is that far? That's not far away from Copenhagen, is it?
No, it's close
Oh,
to
so
Denmark.
we were close.
Yeah, it's a place called Helsingborg. Like it was a really small town, and it was like a 30-minute ferry to somewhere in Denmark.
Right. Yeah, I know that place.
Interesting. Yeah, I used to skateboard as well, so I don't know. like that was like a little fun thing that I used to do as well. But I kind of enjoyed it. So I would like to like learn how to properly skateboard. That would be cool because I grew up playing like Tony Hawk's and like Skate 2 or Skate 3. I think that was a really good game. Yeah, that's it for me. But yeah, I got two more questions, and these will be more. Like relevant to the podcast. So, yeah, give us one interesting thing you read or watched recently. I've already got mine, so I'll let one of you guys go because I've been talking a lot.
You want to go first?
I don't. Let me think about it because there's so
Okay,
much
Ray, you
stuff
go.
that look through.
I mean, interesting to who? To me?
To you, yeah, of course.
I mean, I just stumbled on a YouTube. I mean, you guys are probably tired of hearing it, but I stumbled on a crypto YouTube channel
Oh god.
where it's different because he's using math like to do some calculations and create models. And I looked at it, and the reason why I'm mentioning is I looked at it and I was like, oh my god, that's what I'm supposed to use math for?
Yeah.
Because you go through these like these things in school and you're like, I don't know what I'm ever going to use this for.
Yeah.
And then I actually see used in real life, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then now I see, but I mean, I don't understand 70% of it.
Yeah.
Because it's like he's like a mathematician, like a professor in math. But
So you're saying kids stay in school?
kids stay in school and don't ever question why you have to do these weird assignments.
Nah. I don't know, man. Every time I go on the Bluprint YouTube channel, I just glance at the history and I'm just seeing crypto this, crypto that, and I'm like, why this guy?
That's my bad.
I just got doing this on the shared channel. But,
He didn't
forgot
switch
to
the
sign out.
accounts.
I used to ain't anything more nefarious than that, but yeah, it's interesting because like don't you expect to do maths and stuff when you're doing all the stock stuff and crypto and stuff? Because I'm not really
Not
interested
really.
at the moment, so that's
Not really.
if I was interested, I'll probably be like getting the graphs and graph papers out and all sorts. So I don't know.
Not really, because it's so volatile. Like you can't really, like there's nothing, not a lot of indicators at least that are obvious. Like there are certain indicators, like when Tesla buys $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin, yeah, the price is gonna go up. But like, how often do you get these types of news? So it's just what I've seen, and I could be very wrong, and
Yeah.
maybe that's why my portfolio is dropping in value right now. But what I've seen so far is that there are market trends, and coins typically behave the way that they've done before.
Interesting. I'm gonna cut you off there because I don't want you to ramble on about it too much. This is
Yeah.
a crypto podcast. All right, cool. Lazypnda, you ready? I'm gonna call you Panda for now.
Okay.
I can't
Lazy
take it
Panda's too
seriously,
long.
but, the lazy just sounds too. I don't know. It sounds a bit rude. So,
It sounds adorable, man.
Are you ready yet?
I
Can I go?
learned a new word on Twitter today, praxis, which means to an accepted practice or custom. I think they use it in the wrong way, but I thought they misspelled something, and then I searched it, and then now I know a
How's it
new
spelled?
word.
Praxis.
That's the one. So you know about that word?
Yeah, because the reason why I know about it is because it's almost the same exact word in Danish.
Okay,
Oh,
interesting.
I
Yeah.
never knew that word before. Now I know it, and I'm more educated.
Yeah, Ray speaks Turkish, Danish, English fluently, and every other accent that
Damn.
he wants. Yeah, so we've got a polyglot amongst us.
Mashallah.
You already know.
But yeah, all right, my one. So I'm always on YouTube. So yeah, there's an artist in Australia called Struthless. He makes YouTube videos similar to what we do in terms of giving practical advice around creativity and productivity. So he made a video on procrastination lately. Every now and then I read stuff up about procrastination and how to deal with it and stuff. Like me and Ray even agreed on a schedule where we do 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off with the videos, where he does 2 weeks and then I just edit the podcast and vice versa. And regardless, like in that 2 weeks, we still haven't really been as productive as we would like because we want to rest and do other things as well. But yeah, so I've kind of been thinking about how we can tackle that, and he's making some points about how procrastination, it's not a symptom itself. It's not something that is just something that you addressed immediately. It's a symptom of other things like fear of failure, imposter syndrome, perfectionism, fear of criticism, low self-esteem, anxiety, a tendency to self-defeat. A lot of people like start things and give up very easily. So like he was kind of thinking about how to defeat that. So yeah, he gave a couple of tips. So I thought it'd be interesting to share them, but they're not that deep. Like I'm sure you've heard of them before. Like one is the 2-minute rule, and that's to do with like if there's something that can be done in 2 minutes, then just do it immediately. For example, if like the dishes are started piling up, but every time you can see that there's something that could be done very quickly, just do it. And the idea of that is it just frees up a lot of mental space because like our brains, like we always have these like mental to-do lists where we want to do all these things by a certain time, and then we don't get around to them and we feel a lot of pressure, and then we kind of leave things lying around. Me, for example, my house gets really messy like if I don't like start taking care of it very quickly, if I don't like always keep up on top of it. So I kind of like want to make sure that if there's like a dish that starts to pile up, like just wash it straight away. And that's just the example. But yeah, 2-minute rule, and then to always do the hard things first, and also do the creative things in the morning. So things that you might want to do in the evening because you're working 9 to 5 and stuff, or you're studying full time or whatever. Like that time, that energy that gets sapped out of you while you're doing all that, and then you go home and you want to try and do your own things. You want to have that energy before work, so you want to try and get rid of. You want to try and use that energy before work. Obviously, that's a bit difficult getting into a routine of becoming an early bird or whatever. But yeah, that's another tip he gave. And the third one was actually I gave 3 already. So yeah, do the hard things first. The 2-minute rule, and then do like your creative things and other hobbies before you do your 9 to 5 or whatever you're doing. So
That's
that was
so
just the
true.
interesting thing for me.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Before 9 to 5, like getting creative stuff out of the way is so true. Because as much as I'm like a night owl, coming up with new ideas late at night is a myth. It doesn't work well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that as well, so hold that thought. But first, go ahead with what you were going to say. In terms
What was
of
I gonna say?
interesting things you've watched or read recently.
Oh, it was the practice thing. That's the thing I came
He
across.
said it already.
I'm tripping.
Yeah, he said it.
All right, cool. So the third one is Lazypnda's question that he icebreaker question that he proposed, which is, how do you get to sleep at night? What are your sleeping routines like? I'll let him get started with it.
I guess so. Okay. I recently came across. I just realized that I'm an anxious sleeper. I think too much when I go to sleep, and what I have now, because instead of getting blackout curtains, I have like a face mask that I put over my eyes, so that even if I open my eyes occasionally, I don't see anything. It's just dark. And then I also got a weighted blanket, which seems to work quite well, but it gets like frustrating when you need to go to the toilet because you have to almost like weight lift yourself out of bed. But it works well, and it sort of chains you to bed and gets you to sleep a lot quicker. But my routine for the most part is kind of is counterproductive. So after I finish watching whatever I'm watching on TV, I turn it off. Then I go to my phone and then I read manga, and then if there's too many words on whatever page that I'm reading, I switch it off, and then I go to sleep. But yeah, for the most part, that doesn't work. But I got the face mask and the weighted blanket, so that helps me a lot of the times.
So
And I
how
got
heavy
alarms.
is that
Yeah,
weighted blanket?
it's like 8 kg.
Damn.
Whoa.
How heavy is the normal blanket meant to be? Like
Oh,
2
he's like, I
kg?
don't- Oh no, less than that.
Yeah,
It's just
definitely
feather.
less than that.
Every time this guy wants to toss and turn, he has to lift 8 kg.
Oh, it's legit. It's heavy.
Working
yeah.
out in his sleep, man.
It's heavy. But I
Man, be
also
looking
have
like Terry
my.
Crews.
No, it's just my legs because I'm kicking it out. It's just literally my legs.
Oh,
But what's it called?
Do you wear like ankle weights when you go to the showers as well?
Nah, man, nah. But it works. There's a lot of Instagram ads that I got before even buying it where people was like, "Hey, this feels like someone's hugging me." It's not that sad, but it helps.
Whoa.
Yeah,
It helps.
He's advertising.
Pandemic's getting to people, huh?
He's advertising
Yeah.
on Valentine's Day.
Don't get yourself
well,
a man. Get yourself a weighted blanket.
Oh my days. What were you saying about an alarm?
Oh yeah, I also automated my phone to switch off at like 9:30 or so, and it switches off all alarms and things like that, and you can only use essential apps.
Okay. Interesting. Ray, do you want to go now? Because I feel like we're going to have similar ones.
Yeah, I mean, I've done the phone thing as well, but it doesn't switch off. It's just it goes into do not disturb, so I don't get notifications or phone calls or text and stuff like that. So when and my visuals is messaging me at 3 a.m. like he does quite a lot, I'm not. I don't see it until I lock my phone back up. Um, so I've tried the face mask thing. I just think it's too uncomfortable to wear. I'm very sensitive in terms of light. Like if there's a little bit light in my room, like I struggle to sleep. So what I do, and I've mentioned it a couple of times now, is that I journal if there's a lot on my mind. Like if I start thinking about a lot of things, I'll get out of bed and I start writing just for like 10 minutes, maybe even less sometimes. And I write everything. I put every thought that I have onto paper or into an app. And that usually helps me clear my mind. One thing I've tried over the years, and I can't explain why it works, but if I can't sleep, I'll switch positions. Like I'll take my head and lay it on the side where my feet usually are. So I just use the other side of the bed. And for some reason, I fall asleep so fast.
Interesting.
So that's what I usually do if I can't sleep.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't ask you what you can do if you can't sleep. I just asked what your sleeping routine is, but I'll let you go. Yeah, for me, I've been terrible, man. The last few months, oh my days. Like you said about 3 a.m. text, 3 a.m. text message, just because I can't sleep. Like the last few months, I've just been struggling to sleep. I'll be like awake until like 4 a.m. for no good reason. I can definitely say it's like, because I don't know, I feel like I'm just too lazy during the morning period. Like even though I'm working full time, and my new job that I've got, it's like I can manage it pretty easily. Like I can still have like 3 to 4 hours where I'm not doing anything, and I just end up being lazy, which is a very bad thing. And I even ended up buying an exercise bike to try and like exercise my way out, but I just had no motivation to exercise. Then yeah, I took a week off work to try and fix that. I ended up sleeping throughout most of that week. Yeah, so I ended up sleeping throughout most of that week. But yeah, now I'm trying to get back into a good habit. But yeah, when I'm usually at my best, I usually try to get up nice and early and do the things that I mentioned earlier about like do the creative things beforehand. Because for me, like especially now in the pandemic, a lot of us we got our full-time jobs and not studies or whatever, but we also want to socialize a bit with our friends and families, and then also do our creative stuff, and that's a lot of pressure. So I want to try and get that like creative stuff out of the way in the mornings and stuff, and then
One,
hopefully spend some time like socializing in the evening and stuff.
I know you're married, Mohammed. Are also Ray Roots? Are you also married?
Yeah,
I am, yeah.
So how do you guys cope with that? Like, do your spouses have a different schedule to you
Different
guys? And
bedtime.
does your schedule bother theirs?
It's an interesting question, man. I feel like it has. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm not gonna be dishonest. I feel like I used to find it a lot easier, but now it's like obviously you're sleeping in the same bedroom and whatnot. It's like the beds are a lot warmer and more comfortable. So I don't know. I feel like that's probably why I find it a lot more difficult to get out of bed. And obviously working from home, I can't lie. Like 90%, like maybe 70% of the time, I'm still in bed throughout most of the work day. I still have my laptop there, and it's just plugged into my charger next to my bedside. So yeah, it's a very bad habit.
Damn. I mean, it's not that bad with me. Like when I wake up, I don't go into my bed again unless I'm sleeping. So I work mostly in the living room or at the home office, and I would say mostly we have pretty much the same schedule. Right now, my wife gets up super early because she's taking some courses, like a 6-week course, and because of that, she's sleeping earlier. But usually, she sleeps around the same time as me. So that I would say that's pretty much like it's easy to like we usually go to sleep at the same time. But recently, it's been a bit of a change.
Okay, that's sick.
But it's
What are you saying?
what?
Go ahead, Daisy.
Oh, okay. I was saying
See how me
because
saying lazy sounds a bit rude.
no, that's actually sounds way cooler now. Because I live with my uncles like close to my age, and he sleeps a lot earlier than me. And every time when I cook
Is
and
that
he
in the same
expects
bedroom
me,
as well?
no, it's got separate. Come on, man, Islam. But what's it called? Every time I'm cooking, I cook at like 9, like 8 or 9 p.m. and he's sort of like, yo, if he wants to eat, he knows it's not gonna be through me because he
You
has to
cook
go
at
sleep like early.
you cook at 8 or 9 p.m.
Yeah, man.
Damn.
My schedule's
Why?
like completely. And I remember even when I link up with my friends on FaceTime, because we watch movies every week, right, through Zoom and Netflix party, and we
Yeah.
have jokes at like 12, 1 a.m. and I forget my voice control, so a lot of the times like I wake him up from sleep. So I know if I were to ever
Damn.
get married, I would piss so many people off.
You're the most disruptive guy to
It's
even know.
you forget yourself, Mo. You're just in the moment, and you just so yeah. But I've realized my sleep. I'm not a morning person. I can be for a little bit, but my optimum, like my optimum is like 11 p.m. and until like 12 or 1.
You mean
And
to
anything
sleep?
no, just a functioning. That's when I'm like
Okay.
buzzing.
Okay,
Uh,
interesting.
if that's why if I'm awake, Fajr's time is like I'll be up for 2 hours, then I go sleep right back to sleep. Being awake from that is just it just doesn't feel good.
Interesting. I mean, yeah, Ray, can you imagine you're trying to get to bed and you're just hearing a guy chopping tomatoes and stuff?
I mean, how loud does chopping tomatoes sound?
No,
I mean,
I don't think the cooking is that loud. Me talking to friends
It's
is
the
louder.
eating.
Nah, not even eating, just me. Because to be fair, that's exactly how I eat. How did you know, bro? How did you know?
A loud eater.
No, but I have
So-
at least I have my TVs connected to my Bluetooth headphones, so I have that consideration. But then you forget when you're speaking to people on Bluetooth headphones how you sound
yeah.
and how loud you come across.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried that with Call of Duty. My the office is right next to the bedroom, and my wife went to sleep, and I was just screaming because I can't hear myself because they're noise canceling. And she came in and she was like, "Yo, it's like late. Can you turn it down a little bit?" So, but
And you
aside from that, pretty chill.
do you feel like a child when someone has to come and let you know to be quiet?
A little bit,
Yeah.
but I mean it's fun. I laugh it off, like
Oh my
because I realize like there's nothing that justifies screaming at 1 a.m. about something in a game, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I'm in like the opposite spectrum because I always have my headphones on, noise cancelling headphones, and yeah, I miss everything, deliveries, phone calls. So I'm terrible with that. But yeah, we're gonna get on some other stuff. So I wanted to ask Lazy, what your actual creative roots were. What if you can start from the beginning? Like, when did you start being a creative? Yeah, you got educated, you went for uni, and you didn't do a degree that you ended up working in. But how did it all start?
Yeah, so my degree, I was doing like a chemistry, and whilst I was in uni, I sort of bought a lot of things I shouldn't have bought. One of them was like cameras, and these
Why would
were
you say you shouldn't
around the
have bought
time.
that?
Huh?
Why would you say you shouldn't have bought that?
Yeah, you know, like how people like just buy like I just seen a video that you man recently did about people just buy things that they don't need just because it's the thing to do,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, it's so I bought like a This was at the height of like the DSLR filmmaking movement around 2012 ish 11, and I bought a point and shoot, and then I told my friends, yo, we can make actual movies with this, and we did like do a little like some talk shows under a tree, and we called it Lonely Tree Productions, and we sort of like did a few sketches every holiday here and there, and then I bought like a DSLR 700D, and I was part of the Islamic Society, so I was doing a lot of their lectures. I was recording those, and every year we had a Discover Islam Week, so I used to do a lot of the sketches and short films that they wanted to do over there. I was also part of the Somali Society, so we did a lot of fun sketches there as well. This was all just for fun. It was sort of to escape all the revision and studies. And as I was graduating, there was this like entrepreneurship program where they were like, yo, if you got a good idea for a company, sign up and we'll give you money to start it. And that was like a little thing to apply for whilst I was applying to graduate jobs. And then I got in and I was like, you know what, let me just sit with this for like a year and see where it goes. And I never looked back.
I want you to be a bit more specific in that regard. So how did you start, like as a freelancer, what was your experience like? And then like getting into your current role or your last role, whatever it was. And like I remember you saying that you worked from some agency or something, or ad agency.
Oh yeah.
So
It was an ad. It was sort of a freelance agency. So once I started my own production company thing and I was just doing freelance, I was really aware of some of the pitfalls people can get into. So if you do one wedding video, all people will want you to do is wedding videos. If you do one promotional thing, all people will just ask you for that. So I tried my best to do my own thing. So most of the videos that I did were like through my discretion. It's like my style. I even experimented a little bit. So that was tough because I had to let people buy into my vision, and slowly that was happening. But obviously I wasn't making much of anything, even a living from that. So then after that, I signed up to a few freelance agencies, and I realized how to make a CV, a creative CV, and they put me onto like different accounts. So I work with Manchester United's marketing department for like a day, editing stuff for them, and then they just sort of push you into different spaces. And I work with a few big people after that, but even that didn't make me much money because they are so oversaturated with freelancers. So most of the times it was sort of whatever they can give you, you just take. But sometimes you'd make a lot of money on the day because some people were desperate and they needed someone very quickly. But the difficult part was getting an actual like permanent job, because that was sort of my thing, because I knew that the whole hustling stuff takes a lot of time and effort out of you. So I was like, if I can chill in a permanent position, I know I'm going to do a lot better stuff, and that's going to my creativity and my skill is going to develop a lot better. So then I was looking for a lot of permanent jobs after that.
so how did you end up getting that permanent role then, and how have you been finding it?
Oof, a lot of interviews I did. There was a few creative places I interviewed for. I don't know what happened. Those guys didn't come back to me. One group of people, if you know about them, called Copper 90. I remember I interviewed for them one time, and I told them about my experience with the Islamic societies, and they came back to me and they were like, "Yo, I don't think we can go with you because you haven't worked with a varied range of people, aka like you seemingly have only worked with Muslims. I don't think you can work with non-Muslims effectively," basically is what they were saying. And I remember going in for a lot of these interviews. Then I went to this uni now that I'm working for, and I'm doing their promotional stuff, and the guy who interviewed me is like the head video guy there, and he was just telling me people that worked for BBC and all these type of places were applying for my role, which is kind of surprising because it wasn't like a hugely creative role. And all I had to do, the last stage was for me to edit something in like 30 minutes. Right. And I did it in like 40-50 minutes because he gave me the timeline, and then he gave me all the footage for the timeline. But then on the side of it, it was like all the rushes, like all the extra B-roll. He says, you can use that, but these are the ones that I've given you. Do something with it. And because he gave me the option of using the bigger catalog, I was like, okay, I'm just going to tap into that. So instead of just like doing exactly what he told me, I did extra. And when he came in after those 30 minutes, I told him, give me another 10. And because I didn't care whether that was going to hurt my chances, because at the end of the day, I just want to do a good edit. And then when he came through and I finished it, and he saw that I could explain exactly what my choices were. I didn't just tell him that it looks cool. I told him, okay, I put this clip in front of that because of this reason. This adds to that because of this. So I explained my choices, and then I think that got me through for the most part. But whilst I've been there, I've learned how to video mix in terms of like live streaming. I even took because the uni is attached to a CGI VFX animation studio, so I've taken like animation courses from there now. Well, more proficient on After Effects than I ever used to be. So all the things that I thought being in a permanent position, it came true, because it's like you have the time and the luxury to sort of become better without actually being too scared of like making a living at the same time. Because one of the things that I was aware of when you're freelancing, you don't have time to experiment or learn new things because you just have to jump from one thing to another very quickly. You're just on hot coal every time. You have to just keep moving.
Can I ask something? You called yourself an audiovisual what?
Production professional.
What is an audiovisual production professional in your own words?
It's just someone who does video. You know, I don't like titles very much. I just remember one of my thing, because even in the company, it's like video content producer, then videographer. Like they have different, like they don't have one consistent title for me. So I remember one of the things that I did, because I'm bored, so I just made up like a long, you know, like underwater ceramic technician. It's just a dishwasher, right? Yeah, it's that type of thing. I just wanted to like, let me just make it a thing, like, and no one questions me now at work because it's on my signature and everything.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, everyone makes their own signatures at some point, but yeah, it's interesting because you touched on interviews, and I was going to ask you about that. How does one interview for permanent, like creative videographer roles, whatever, and obviously freelance roles? With freelance roles, most of the time it's like sending your portfolio around and stuff. But yeah, it's interesting that you touched on that because I kind of wanted to ask about that, and that's kind of what I'm saying is when we've been speaking to these other people that have been doing it for decades, like they don't have to interview. Like people know their work, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, how does one start from the beginning and just work their way up? That's why I wanted to ask you about these kind of things. I think you give some valuable insight. So they asked you to edit a whole 30-minute clip or whatever, or a bunch of clips. And was that something that was to be used for their own purposes or just for interview purposes?
I mean, I think it was just for interview purposes because I work there now. I've never seen that clip go anywhere.
Okay.
But like you said, most of the times that's when you work for like creative places. They will judge you based on what they see. But some more corporate places, I think what's tricky about corporate places is they need to understand the bigger picture on how logistically you're going to help them, how your organization is going to help them. Like you have to almost like verbalize a lot of creative things for them to understand because they probably won't get it straight away. And that's like an important skill. That's a hugely important skill. Like a lot of creatives don't know how to talk properly with other people who are not in their field.
And like you have to create like a whole business case and think about ways that you can statistically say that this will improve your sales or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important to think about these things and research them. But yeah, we'll move on. What were you gonna say? Go ahead.
I was gonna say like from the freelancing stuff, learning how to like streamline your workflow so other people can just jump on your projects is one of the biggest things I learned. Like, because a lot of the times, especially if you're a filmmaker, you edit and you've only worked on your own. Like you edit how you edit. But once you start working with other people, you have to stop that straight away. You have to make sure that your timeline, everything makes sense so other people can just take your work on board and just move it on. So that's one of the biggest things. Just making sure that everything that you do is more accessible to other people that you work with.
Interesting, because I was going to refer to coding as well. Like, obviously, I come from an IT background, and I know a lot of people that when they interview developers, for example, they have to like complete coding challenges to show that they're proficient at what they're doing, and they also have to explain the reasons why they picked certain decisions, like you said. I feel like it's probably going to be applied for a lot more places now because I feel like recruitment as a whole is very annoying, especially like corporate recruitment. You have to do all these scenario-based questions and stuff where you have to say, they give you an example, like this manager is having issues with this person, like what would you do to mediate this issue or whatever? And I hate those questions. So whenever I'm applying for, because you like the dark side, innit? But whenever I'm applying for jobs and stuff, like that's like the worst part for me because I think I excel at interviews, but when it comes to like the actual scenario-based questions and stuff, I say what I think I would say based on my experience. But I literally I've experimented where I've got someone else to do like just apply for a job for Bants and like do like answer the questions the same way as I did, and then I ended up like getting rejected, and they ended up getting accepted even though they had no genuine interest in applying for the job. So I don't know. I feel like recruitment as a whole, especially in the corporate world, is like it needs to be revamped, and I feel like a lot of companies are waking up more to it. To like
was it racism? Was racism the cause?
It was the same person. It was the same. They listed like the same everything, just different person. So I don't know what happened. how it works. It's weird, man. I feel like there's no like real formula for success in that regard. You just have to
There
be
isn't.
very logical.
I've spoken to recruiters about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'd have one recruiter. So I was when I got out of university, I was looking for jobs, and I'd have one recruiter say, "Take this out your CV," and then I get into a job interview with another company, and I tell them what I've taken out, and they tell me like, "Well, if I was you, I wouldn't have taken it out."
Yeah.
So there isn't one way to go, and that's because every recruiter is different,
Mm-hmm.
and usually the people who are doing the interviews for the jobs or writing the
Application.
job ads, they aren't the ones who you're working with. It's typically just HR who are
Yeah.
trying to find someone
Suitable
who's a
fit.
match who won't leave in like a year.
Yeah, I know. I mean, yeah, I'm just saying. I feel like people, like companies, are waking up to the idea that they should be more like skills focused, and I feel like that's a positive step in terms of recruitment. So hopefully that continues as a trend, because yeah, I feel like a lot of these things don't, because everyone can't be like a well-rounded, balanced individual who can socialize in every way and understand like different kind of logistics and stuff. Like there are specialists that are a bit more socially awkward, but they can still do the job great. So what's the problem with that if they fail some of these scenarios that are more like socially based or whatever? So
That's
that's
true,
kind of
you
the
know.
issue I have with them. So hopefully I prefer like the skills based. So if I was ever to like, I'm already like kind of employing someone in terms of I'm paying someone to do my editing and stuff for some of my videos and things. So like from the beginning, I was like, it was based on skill. I asked him to do something for me, and then he did it. So I was like, all right, I'll pay you to do it more often. So in future, I want to keep on like developing that practice as well. But yeah, we'll move on. I also want to talk about your anonymity. Like you're a creative professional, but you're anonymous on social media and online. So how do you manage that? Because I feel like you have to build. We're in an age where you have to build your personal brand to be able to get bigger and better jobs as well and be known.
Yeah, for me, it's just if my portfolio is built on that's all that matters. I think for the most part, I think it's like a personality thing. If you, because even like recently, I just did a video where I just put like all the pictures from 2020, and I made like a little video skit of it, and I put it on Instagram. And even that was a big hurdle for me because I don't like the more of me that's involved in social media, the less I like to be a part of it. Um, I, th- but when it comes to like the creative stuff, it's just what I have to offer. So if I make a video, if I make a podcast, that's why I offer to it. I don't like to give anything more than that. So even if even if I'm doing something that's a work in progress, I'm like that's still not enough. It's like almost as if you're asking for someone's attention, and I'm like I don't really want to like ask you to look over here unless there's something worthwhile for you to look at. And yeah, so it's that type of thing.
But don't you think you get bigger and better jobs if you're more well known on social media?
I mean, it's the type of jobs I'm looking for. I don't think there's many jobs I'm looking for that I would get at this moment in time, especially. But yeah, like I said as well, because there's other things I'm working on. Is I don't know. It's just I don't know. It doesn't come easy, but also like I'll only put things up there if there is something to be put up. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's personal preference, in it. But I'm just trying to break down your thoughts and wondering why exactly. Ray, what do you think about that?
I mean, I've
Obviously, it's an uncomfortable conversation for Lazy, but
How
I'll
is it?
raise it anyway.
Dude, I'm not uncomfortable,
I mean,
bro. I'm confident, bro. Look at me. I'm
Okay,
projecting my
okay,
voice.
good to hear. Good to hear.
I mean, I get it. I've gone through sort of a transition phase in some sense where, like, I used my government name on social media before, and you'd know where I work. You know what my name was. You know, like you already know what I look like,
Yeah.
where I live almost, and what city I live. So I'm like, it just got to a point I think like 3 years ago where I got really uncomfortable with the fact that so many people that I don't know they know me, and I spoke to another friend in the UK about it, and like we're not supposed to be giving so many people access to our lives, to our personal lives, and it's unnatural for that many people to know you. At least that's what I think, unless you're like a celebrity, and then we're known to people, but we're not making money off of that. And to me, it was just like, well, then I'm just like my face and my identity is just out there for the sake of being out there, and I don't want people to have access to that to the same extent as they used to. So I decided to just I did kind of a rebrand in some sense. Like I took my personal name out of it. I think I deleted most tweets where my name was in. I've asked people to delete tweets with my name in it. Every time MI says my real name on this podcast, we beep it out.
Yeah.
So and then I just picked the name. Like I've done so many names. Earl Sauce was a name that I used before.
Yeah. So many cringe names that I have to ask him to change.
Yeah, and then I think this Ray just kind of stuck with me, and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna go with Raymond Roots.
Yeah.
And I've had people ask me if it's a rapper name when they, hey, what's your Instagram? Oh, it's Raymond Roots. Oh, you're a rapper? I'm like, not really, but it does sound like one.
Yeah, so I mean, both of your like reasoning behind that, I feel like it's absolutely fair enough, and it's personal preference, and it's interesting because I could be the devil advocate and try and break that down a bit more, but then you look again at people like Banksy, for example, who's like his identity is almost fully anonymous, and he's that successful. So it's interesting because there's a lot of people that are very successful out there that don't have any kind of social media presence. So I kind of wanted to talk about that a bit today.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I like that. I like that approach where it's just you don't know me, but you know my work. That's kind of where I would like to be at.
And that's absolutely fair enough. So yeah, like because I feel like people would struggle with that because everyone's being told build your brand and stuff. So how do you approach it? Should you use your real name? Should you use an alias? And I feel like a lot of people struggle with that. So I kind of wanted to talk about it today. So I feel like you guys gave some good reasoning behind that. So hopefully that all gives people some food for thought there. The last two topics I want to talk about, because we're running a bit late, was we mentioned hobbies earlier, and I kind of want to talk about how hobbies are very important in developing an eye for things and bringing them into your creative skill set. In the last episode, we spoke to a guy called Dan Veriddle, who is like a color grading expert master who's got like 260,000 subscribers on YouTube, and he's got the actual Instagram tag username for color grading. So if you type in color grading, that's his name, his Instagram tag. So I don't know how he managed to grab that, but yeah, he also sold like Instagram filter. Well, he sold photo filters to Instagram himself. So like some of the filters he used and stuff like come from him. So we interviewed him in the last episode, which was great. But yeah, he's talking about something that was a bit daunting for me because I was asking him like, how do you manage like creating constantly? And he was just saying how you have to just keep on continuously going for life to strive to like achieve quality at all times. And I kind of like felt a bit of anxiety about that statement because sometimes I think about it like, how long am I gonna have to continuously be creating consistent quality for like before I'm like, okay, now people will just come and give me or like I can put my work out and people will pay for it or whatever, or I freelance or work for a company, whatever, where I can make a really nice living where I'm comfortable. I'm just like, how long would that last for? And then I kind of did a bit of reading around it as well over the last few days, and I thought of something interesting because someone made a reference to Kobe Bryant and how in training he goes just as hard as he does when he's playing in a game. So like he doesn't take it easy on the training field. So like when he's playing in a game, naturally he's like switched on straight away. So that's why that's one of the reasons he was so great. And I feel like that's very interesting because when I was growing up, when I was playing football, I felt like every time I played another sport, I had an eye for like just keeping my head up and like being able to like pick out a pass or whatever very naturally. And that was because in football, like you're meant to keep your head up and not look at the ball. So I kind of wanted to address that as like from a creative side of things. So what do you guys think about that? Like, have you noticed that anything that you've done from a hobby that has translated easily into your creative careers?
Should I go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if there's a hobby that's translated directly into creative work. I can talk about the concept of constantly working, creating content, and the anxieties that you have around it. One thing I've noticed is that the more you do it, the better you get at it, and the faster you can make stuff. I've just noticed in the past 3 months that we've made stuff. I usually spend like a whole day making a video, but the last video, which turned out to be my longest video, I spent the least time making. And honestly, it was probably one of my favorite videos. And I noticed just like you just become so much faster and everything's just so much quicker. And like I notice as well with basketball, the more that I do stuff, the easier it becomes for me when I do it. And I think a lot of the mindset stuff that I get in terms of working, I do get from basketball players. So I'm not surprised when Kobe Bryant says that he's working harder. He's working as hard or even harder sometimes in practice, so that games become like it's just like being in a game. I've noticed, obviously, I've had clients, so you could say my work, which was a hobby to begin with, has given me clients. I never bought a camera with the intention of making money from it. I bought a camera first because I wanted to get better. I really like doing it. I never thought about making money off of it. And then the more pictures that I took, the more editing that I did, I noticed I was becoming better and faster at it. I had a specific example. You know my friend Richie, right?
Yeah.
He took a picture. Well, we took a picture, and then I sat in his car and whipped out my laptop and I was editing. And before we went out of the parking lot, I finished my editing. And he looked at me and he was like, "When did you start getting that fast?" And I said, "Well, I'm doing it every day."
Yeah.
So if I'm not doing it faster than I did 3 months ago, I'm obviously not doing something. I'm doing something wrong then.
It's interesting because when we started, it was one of the obstacles that you had was like you got a pretty expensive camera and setting it up and whatnot. You used to say that it takes a long time to get it set up and like get cracking. So like the whole month of December, I was handling the video side of things because you had that kind of mental hurdle. But like, how do you feel about that now?
I mean, I also had COVID, so
Yeah,
there's that.
of course.
I mean, I still don't like my camera. Like if I could sell it, I'd sell it. So for those of you who don't know, I sold my mirrorless camera and I bought a cinema camera, and I think it's the worst decision I've made financially in a
Which
long
one?
time. I bought a Zcam E2 S6.
Is that a Sony?
No, it's a smaller brand, a Chinese brand called Zcam, and they. So the reason why I bought it is for the video nerds. I bought it not because of the 6K resolution. I mainly bought it because of the dynamic range and the internal ProRes recording. So, but it's just clunky. It's
much is
bigger
it?
than what I'm.
How much would it be for?
I think. I mean, oh my God! I think
Say it,
with like lenses, and because when you buy the camera, you can't really use it. You need to get a cage and screens and cables and SSDs and lenses. I think to get like all in all, I think are we doing it pounds or dollars?
Whatever you want, man.
I think 7,000 or 8,000 pounds in total. And
man.
I regret it. Like I wish I could, because I can't take it anywhere. Like anywhere I go, people are gonna ask me for permits because it doesn't look like something I do on a hobby basis.
Yeah.
So I can't just go out and record small things. And at home, I need a bigger tripod. I need a better computer. Like it's just been something that has just cost me so much more than the camera itself. But it's becoming easier to use now. The more I use it, like I didn't want to use it before because it was difficult, and I still don't want to use it. But because of the channel, I have to use it, and I've noticed it's becoming a lot easier as time passes. Like the further time passes, it's becoming a lot more manageable.
Good to hear.
I know exactly what you mean in terms of like once you're used to something that's small and portable, and you just it's less of a barrier between you and the content that you're trying to get. But then sometimes the bigger the cameras become, and then sometimes you need more people to handle those cameras, and now the barrier is a lot further, and then you're like, I don't even know if I want to do this anymore. There's just too much in between me and the thing that I want to do. Because I remember like recently, like this is the first time I've ever worked. We have like Ursa Minis at work, like these two of them. And they're a faff to begin with, but also I worked with a cinematographer that had like an Ari Alexa, and that was a whole nother thing. And I was like, what the hell is, even though it's like the mini version, the amount of things that he clamped on top of it. He had a memory card that's literally a hard drive that was like a terabyte.
Yeah, yeah.
And the funny thing is, it's not even things to get for like normal cameras. It's only made for that camera. And I
Right.
remember like after the shoot, he went through 3 of these, by the way, so 3 terabytes for that one day. And he gave me the hard drives, and he told me like, they're not insured, take care of them. And then I was like, I didn't really know why he was so afraid. And then when I went home, I searched up how much they cost. They're $2,000 per hard drive. And I was
Right.
like, I don't want to have this in my house anymore. I dumped everything from those cards, and I was like, I don't see the point of having something this. It's just this extra thing, and I was like, it's as much as it did wonders for the production, I would never buy something like that for myself personally.
You know, and we're gonna be let me like we're just gonna spend a few minutes talking about this because someone really understands my frustrations, and it's nice.
Wow.
But like the reason why you would get a cinema camera is because you are in control of everything. Like with a mirrorless or a DSLR, you got autofocus, you got if you wanted to, you can like set it at auto exposure. You could even turn on stabilization, and if you don't have stabilization, you can get a cheap gimbal. But with cinema cameras that are heavy, it's just a matter of you have to be in control of everything, and usually that means you have an entire team that helps you. Like you have one person who pulls focus, you have one person who does the exposure, you have one person operating the camera, you have a director doing the directing, obviously, but you have so many different things.
It's kind of like them TikTok videos where they're dancing and then a whole bunch of hands come out from behind them.
I haven't seen those videos.
No, I that was my first experience, like just recently with a set where people had different roles, and that was that my anxiety went through the roof. I'm like, if this was me, I would have had a headache trying to like organize all these people into like their own little like corners. Because I remember once we shot that first day, the Alexa audio was not coming out of it. And then I was asking the dude, like, why isn't there audio from this camera? And he says, you know, there's supposed to be. I've shot other things and they had audio on it. And I'm thinking maybe because the file format is like some complicated thing, I had to like unzip it so the audio comes with it or some random thing. Looked online, Alexa doesn't have audio that comes with it. You have to attach another audio thing to the camera so that you get audio like feedback from it. I was like, this is the longest thing. And like you said, obviously everything is manual so that because the more functions a camera has, the more faults can go with it. But this one minimizes it to be like, okay, this is like 100% hit rate. Everything else that you add on top of it is like gives you more control so that there's nothing that can go wrong on set. But obviously that day it went wrong, so I had to like manually sync things because of this heavy ass camera that couldn't really like record audio. I was so mad that day, man.
And for those of you wondering, the RE Alexa Mini, the camera brain, as they call it, is $36,000 alone.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
A car, pay for the insurance, pay for some rent. Yeah.
Dude, the guy actually got a mortgage on that thing, bro. Like, he got a mortgage on it. And I was like, this guy, but obviously because he's a cinematographer, so he gets more work because of it. So it's almost as if his name doesn't matter. It's like he's the dude with the RE. That's the thing. So he gets hired on that basis alone.
It's a legendary camera. Like, they shoot Hollywood movies on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in terms of going back to that question before we move on to our last question, what about you, Lazy? Do you have any hobbies that kind of influenced that? Because I remember having a conversation with you. You're talking about how you used to, back in the day, create like t-shirt illustrations and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So would you say
I was,
go ahead.
yeah, I was doing a lot of graphic design before I was doing video. And me and my friends back in the day when there was a lot of Islamic t-shirt stuff, like pray your 5 a day type, with the NBA logo, but it's the guy praying. Like at that stage, we kept like trying to do those types of t-shirts, and we had like a Facebook group where we just kept sharing ideas, and we were using like really shoddy software to make these. But because we were all as bad as each other, the weird thing is we have kind of a toxic group, so we don't really like build each other up. We just kept trashing each other's designs, and whenever nothing was really said about someone's design, it was like, oh, okay, this might be actually better than the previous one because no one's roasting this design of mine.
I like that.
The silence speaks here.
Yeah. And the best compliment you could get is like when someone asks, did you do that? Like, and it's a genuine question. They're like, oh crap, I've associated you with crap stuff, so now that I'm seeing something good, I can't believe it's you. So we sort of did all of that back and forth, and then I got way better at graphic design. And then when I was doing video, I knew how to like add that on top of it. So now even like the way in my mind, like if I'm doing, like all these like portrait videos that like have
Yeah.
like picture in picture style and all that type of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
that's such a hard thing for me to do, because in my mind, especially with graphic design and stuff, there's rules, and when I'm gonna break them, it needs to make sense. It can't just be for the sake of it.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's just it's like this barrier where I have to figure out how things, so that it takes me extra long basically to do some creative things, because I have that graphic design, like this composition has to fit there and the color has to go with this color.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that,
Interesting.
but it helped, but it also like adds more
Makes you think
detail
more.
to things. Yeah.
Yeah, because I guess it's also about like you have more options in your arsenal or ideas of how you want to do a certain thing. So then that means you have to decide on what you want to cut out, what you want to keep. So that does give you more food for thought, but also a bit more options as well, I guess.
Yeah.
It's the same for me, to be honest, with my graphic design background. Like I said, like when I'm making videos and stuff, it makes it a lot easier. So, like one thing when we're making YouTube videos is that once we finish the video, that's already exhausting and like editing and whatnot. And then we also have to create the thumbnail, which is very jarring.
I hate that.
Yeah, but like in the beginning, I was really struggling. I was really overthinking it. But now I just like do something comedic, like and make it pretty quick and easy. Just like I would do with my graphic design, for example. Like when I had COVID, I made a video about like lessons I learned from having COVID, and then in that thumbnail, I got a boxing image and put the COVID virus on top of the other boxer, and I was the guy on the floor. I blended that in pretty quickly and easily. That took like 2 minutes. Normally thumbnails would take me like 30 to an hour at least, which was very annoying. So yeah, it's interesting. The last
Takes
thing I want
ages.
to talk about. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, it just takes ages.
Yeah.
But the one weird thing is sometimes when I'm doing graphic stuff, that ish can take minutes sometimes. It's random. Something, it can take minutes and sometimes it's really good.
Yeah.
And then other things will take hours. Because even when I was doing the podcast, that branding took minutes. And then I was done.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. But yeah, last thing I want to talk about was you gave me an idea based on the question you proposed in the icebreaker. You talked about sleeping routines, and Ray's done a whole video about how to get better sleep and how sleep can improve your creativity and things like that. So I kind of wanted to talk about like obviously you guys already mentioned it a bit earlier. You said that you're a bit of a late night owl. So like how do you think tiredness and stuff influences your creativity? Like when do you feel like you perform your best, and when do you feel like you perform your worst during the day? And at what levels of like energy and fatigue do you feel like you perform better?
For me, it's afternoon is not a good time for me. More in the morning, like an hour or two is good, and then after Maghrib is like sweet spot. That's like where like a lot of good things happen. But ideation is in the morning, and then everything else is like after Maghrib.
In the evenings. And what about you, Ray?
Yeah.
For me, it's this is gonna be such a cop out answer, but for me, it's 2 hours before I have to deliver it. So it doesn't
Wow.
matter when.
So you're a serial procrastinator then?
Yes, even the video you sent me about procrastination, I
Yeah, you haven't watched it
procrastinated
yet.
watching it. Yeah, no.
I guess. Yeah, I mean, but how do you feel like that affects you then? Like,
I
do you
mean,
think that's something you can
I-
improve?
I get annoyed a lot over the fact that I'm procrastinating, but then I procrastinate the solution to getting over that. And I'm legit a serial procrastinator. I think I wish I was a lot more, I don't know, structured. I wish I had a better plan. But working from home, it gives you a false sense of extra time. Like you think you have so much extra time because you're like, I work from home. I don't have to deal with commuting and there's going to be space in between meetings. But that extra time is just making me less productive.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, for me, like I said, like I try to, because I always have too many things going on, so I still get a lot of things done during the daytime. But yeah, when it comes to like our videos and stuff, or even podcasts, like I was working on this agenda, literally 10 minutes before we started the podcast. So yeah, that's why it's a bit all over the place. But I also tried to make it a bit cohesive towards like the questions we had in the beginning. So it's interesting, but yeah, I end up usually like always thinking about ideas. I was also like reading up on like when is the best time to generate ideas, and then I started reading up on like sleep and stuff. So there's a few like studies done about how sleep affects your brain and when like the best time is for ideas. So I just wanted to do a bit of reading about that, and yeah, there's a few studies about that. One, it was talking about how you have to get your 7 to 8 hours of sleep, otherwise you're gonna struggle to generate creative ideas, and because the time that you're generating those creative ideas, and also when you're like linking up all the processes in your brain that are linking your ideas and experiences together, is usually in the last 2 hours of your REM cycles. So the REM is the rapid eye movement cycle of your sleep. So in that cycle is when you're like connecting all the dots essentially. So when you like struggle with the idea and then you wake up the next day and suddenly the idea makes sense to you, or it just feels, or it's another idea that you thought was good and then you wake up in the morning and it's terrible, that's because in that last couple of hours of your sleep in that REM cycle, your brain was neurologically connecting all the dots from your experiences and your ideas together. And I thought that was very interesting. And because a lot of people are struggling to sleep nowadays, there's like a lot of different studies being done about it, but there's a lot of stats about how if you don't get enough sleep, or if that REM cycle sleep gets disrupted, you become a lot less creative. But there's also some interesting things about there's some people that kind of use that to their advantage. For example, Salvador Dali, the surrealist painter, what he used to do apparently was wake himself up from that REM sleep on purpose by either getting someone to wake him up or holding a key on the edge of the bed, and then he had a metal plate on the floor. So when he would fall asleep, the key would like drop from his hand onto the plate, and it would wake him up. And then he would go and create his paintings like from that, like straight away after, which is very intense and a bit weird. But yeah,
he does surrealism, right?
Yeah, so you've seen Salvador Dali's work, I'm sure. It's like the ones where like the clock is like melting and stuff.
Yeah, I've been to his museum in Barcelona actually.
Yeah, so it's interesting because like sleep can affect you in so many different ways. But yeah, we're running out of time, so I won't talk about it too much. But yeah, is there anything else you guys want to talk about in that regard?
I'm gonna put out like a promo for a documentary soon, inshallah. So that's the only thing I have going on.
What is that about?
I don't know if I can go into it. It's just something to do with the UK schooling structure, but it's something that I've been doing for a while. And talking about procrastination, that's the toughest thing to do after work a lot of the times. So, but at least it's going to be like a one actually the biggest project I've ever done and directed.
That sounds interesting. I'll talk to you on that offline then. Okay, so is there anything else you want to plug, or yourself, where people can find you if you want them to find you?
Exactly as the name suggests, Lazypnda. I don't post much, but I like a lot of stuff. So if you're on Twitter and you like seeing funny stuff, then look at my likes and retweets.
And the benefit is that if you follow back, you're gonna like our stuff.
Oh, that's of course. Oh, yeah. All of that.
Okay, so yeah, it's been your boys from the Bluprint, joined by Lazypnda today. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
Thank you for listening to the Bluprint Pod. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you tell a friend and stay tuned for the next one. Peace.